Ariana Mitchell had barely taken 10 steps into the polished main hallway of Lincoln High when the murmurs began, and the first eyes turned toward her like bright, judgmental spotlights. 7:42 in the morning, exactly the time she predicted. Her footsteps were soft, hesitant even, though she forced them into a steady rhythm as the soles of her simple black shoes tapped against the wax floor. The hallway smelled of lemon-scented cleaner, paper, and the faint metallic tang of cold air conditioning. But Ariana was too focused on the stairs to notice much else. She kept her expression calm, though her pulse fluttered beneath her skin. She clutched the strap of her plain navy blue backpack, a backpack that, within seconds, would become the centerpiece of a humiliation she'd been expecting, but not necessarily ready for. Excuse me, you there, stop." The voice sliced through the hallway like a blade dipped in arrogance. Firm, cold, already irritated. Ariana's body stiffened as she turned, and there she was, Karen Whitmore, the infamous principal of Lincoln High, standing in a perfectly pressed cream suit that probably cost more than Ariana's entire wardrobe. Her expression was tight, like her face had forgotten how to be anything but displeased. Her eyes, sharp blue, judgmental, landed on Ariana with the precision of a hunter spotting prey. Students slowed their walking. Some stopped entirely. A few near the locker rows pretended to check their phones, but tilted them ever so slightly to capture whatever this was about to be. Ariana swallowed, her throat suddenly dry. "Yes, ma'am," she asked, voice small but steady. Karen clicked her heels as she approached, each step loud, intentional, as though she wanted the sound to echo. She stopped just inches from Ariana's backpack and let out a sharp exhale. "What is that?" she demanded. Ariana blinked. "My backpack." "Your backpack," Karen repeated, her tone dripping disdain. "This." She reached out and pinched the fabric between two fingers, like touching it physically offended her, "is absolutely not up to Lincoln High standards." A whisper ran through nearby students like a light breeze. Ariana tightened her grip on the strap. "Ma'am, the orientation guide said dark-colored backpacks were acceptable. This is—" "Don't interrupt me," Karen snapped, raising a manicured finger. "And don't speak to me in that tone. I am explaining to you that this school maintains a standard you clearly weren't informed of, or perhaps didn't understand." Ariana's chest tightened. "I understand fine," she said quietly. Karen's lips twitched, a small smirk forming as though she found that amusingly bold. "I doubt that," she said. "But let's continue. This backpack is cheap. It is worn, and it reflects poorly on you and on this institution. We do not allow students to come in here looking like they stepped out of a bargain bin store." A few students giggled. Someone whispered, "Oh my God." Ariana swallowed again. "It's the only one I—" "Not another word," Karen said sharply, cutting her off once more. "And your hair." Ariana froze. Karen moved in closer, eyes narrowing with that stiff-lipped judgment Ariana remembered all too well from years ago. "This," Karen said, gesturing in a small circle around Ariana's natural curls, "is not appropriate for a school like this. We expect neat, professional grooming, not whatever this is supposed to be." Ariana felt her stomach drop, a heaviness spreading through her chest like wet sand. Her curls were pulled into a clean half-up style. Every coil was moisturized, soft, and perfectly shaped. There was nothing messy, nothing unkempt. But Ariana knew better than to think logic mattered here. "My hair is neat," she said softly. Karen's eyes widened with mock shock. "Are you arguing with me? On your first day?" "I'm not arguing. Enough," Karen snapped, her voice cutting the sentence in half. "I don't know how someone like you managed to get placement here, but I will not tolerate disrespect or disregard for the school's image. Do I make myself clear?" The words hung in the air like poison. "Someone like you." Ariana felt the sting deep, but she didn't let her eyes drop. Karen stepped even closer. "Tell me," she said, lowering her voice in a tone that was even more dangerous. "Did you win some kind of diversity lottery? Some outreach program, perhaps?" A couple of students gasped. One whispered, "No way she said that." Another held up a phone, pretending to scroll while recording. Ariana's breath trembled in her lungs. Her palms grew sweaty. Her heart pounded so loudly she feared everyone could hear it. But she said nothing. Karen didn't stop. "Because I can assure you, young lady," Karen continued, tilting her head with a condescending smile, "we don't usually admit students who arrive looking this unprepared or this out of place." Ariana felt her jaw clench. A heat rose behind her eyes, but she kept quiet, kept still. Karen leaned back slightly, clearly pleased with her own cruelty. "Fix your appearance before second period," she ordered, "and find a new backpack. One that doesn't make you look like you wandered in from a public school in, well," she paused, her gaze sweeping Ariana from head to toe, "wherever you came from." Another wave of laughter. Ariana flinched internally, but didn't move. Karen gave a satisfied nod and turned her back. "Welcome to Lincoln High," she said sharply over her shoulder. "Try not to embarrass us again." Ariana stood frozen as Karen strode away, heels clacking triumphantly. Students dispersed like nothing happened. Some whispering, some still recording, some just eager to move on. Ariana finally exhaled, though the air felt heavy and sharp. She turned and walked quickly toward the bathroom, her face hot, her throat tight. When she pushed the door open, she let it shut behind her and leaned against the sink. Her reflection stared back, eyes glassy, breath shaky. She reached for her pocket, pulled out her phone, and hit a contact already waiting at the top. The line barely rang once. "It happened," Ariana whispered, voice trembling but controlled. "She did it. I knew it wouldn't take long." "Are you okay?" the voice asked on the other end. Familiar, soft, concerned. Ariana closed her eyes. "I'm fine," she said. "Just start the procedure." A pause. "Ariana, are you sure?" Ariana lifted her head, meeting her own reflection with a steadier gaze. "She humiliated me in front of the entire school," she said. "She said exactly what we predicted she would. Exactly what she said to me years ago." Her voice tightened, but she didn't look away. "It's time." And outside, the clock hit 7:49 a.m. 7 minutes after the humiliation. 7 minutes before Lincoln High would change forever. The hallway buzzed with whispers by second period. Something had shifted. Most of the students couldn't name it, but they felt it, like the air pressure had dropped or the lights were a little too bright. It wasn't just the way Ariana Mitchell had been publicly dressed down by Principal Whitmore. That kind of thing happened more often than people like to admit, though never quite so brazenly. It was how Ariana walked back in the corridor afterward, shoulders straight, eyes calm, lips pressed together in a quiet resolve that unnerved the watchers more than tears ever could. She didn't cry. That's what they kept repeating in private messages, in hushed comments by lockers. She didn't cry. I would have cried. She just stared at her. Did you see the way she looked at Principal Whitmore? No tears. Nothing. Like she was watching a storm from behind glass. Ariana returned to her classes without a word. She sat in the back of honors history and took notes without lifting her eyes, but still heard everything. How the teacher paused mid-sentence when she entered. How the two boys beside her whispered and passed the phone under the desk. How the girl in front of her kept glancing over her shoulder like Ariana was radioactive. All of it filed itself neatly in Ariana's mind. She didn't react. She didn't need to. Everything was unfolding as expected. At lunch, she chose a corner table near the back of the cafeteria. Her tray held only a bottle of water and a small bag of chips. She wasn't hungry, and besides, she had work to do. She opened her phone and activated a secure, encrypted app disguised as a calculator. From there, she uploaded a log, verbal aggression recorded, racially coded language. Humiliation of student in public setting. Subject, Whitmore Karen. 7:42 a.m. confirmed patterns consistent with prior complaints. Student subject experienced emotional distress, but remained composed. No staff intervened. Peer reactions varied, documenting. She attached audio she discreetly recorded from her jacket's inner mic. Then she paused. Her thumb hovered over the screen. Another memory tried to surface. A gymnasium. Balloons. 5th grade science fair. Evelyn Johnson, her mother, kneeling to fix her display board. And then a voice, a voice that echoed with the same tone, the same control venom as this morning's. Messy presentation. We expect better grooming next time. Ariana had been 11. Karen Whitmore had been vice principal then. The woman probably didn't even remember, but Ariana did. She remembered everything. Before she could spiral, her phone buzzed. One short pulse. A secure message from Central Ops. First layer verified. Proceed with interpersonal assessments. Flag allies and obstructionists. Extraction window open until Friday, 1,600 hours. She locked the phone. Ariana lifted her gaze slightly and scanned the cafeteria. The students were neatly grouped into their social corners. Athletes near the vending machines, academic elites closer to the windows, artsy kids near the back doors. And, in the center, the Lincoln High inner circle. Children of board members, local politicians, legacy families. Untouchables. She recognized some of them from research. Rachel Whitmore, Karen's daughter, sat at the head of the table, laughing with her perfect teeth and silky blonde waves. She hadn't acknowledged the scene that morning. Not even a glance. Ariana watched for 5 minutes. No notes. No pictures. Just observations. Then, without hesitation, she stood up, walked across the room, and approached a quiet, dark-skinned girl sitting alone near the vending machines. "Is this seat taken?" Ariana asked. The girl blinked, surprised. No. You can sit." "Ariana Saturday." "Thanks. I'm Ariana." "Jordan." A pause. Jordan tilted her head. "You're the girl from this morning, right?" "I guess I am," Ariana said simply. Jordan hesitated. That was rough. She does that sometimes. But not like that. Not usually that intense. Ariana nodded. "Does anyone ever report it?" Jordan snorted, then caught herself. "Sorry. No. Everyone's scared of her. Or their parents are friends with hers. The school board loves her test scores. They'd back her if she punched someone in the hallway. Has she ever been investigated?" "Rumors," Jordan said, lowering her voice. "Some families tried, but nothing sticks. Every complaint disappears. One girl transferred last year. Her mom tried to sue. Got silenced." Ariana made a mental note. She took a slow sip from her water bottle. "Do you like it here?" she asked. Jordan raised an eyebrow. "That's a weird question." "Yeah," Ariana said. "I guess I'm weird." Jordan studied her for a moment, then shrugged. "Sometimes I do, when I'm with the right people. The teachers in the science wing are cool. But this place, it's like it's designed to remind people like us that we're guests. You can feel it, you know?" "Yeah," Ariana said, looking around. "I know exactly what you mean." Jordan narrowed her eyes. "You're not really here to make friends, are you?" Ariana turned back to her. "Why do you say that?" "You're watching, not just looking. Watching, like you're measuring things." Ariana didn't answer. Jordan let it go. "Whatever. Just don't get hurt. This school eats people alive if you stand out too much." Ariana nodded, then leaned in a little. "If I told you I wasn't just here to study, would you believe me?" Jordan hesitated. "Depend what you're here for." Ariana offered a small smile, one that didn't quite reach her eyes. "Change," she said. "I'm here to change things." Jordan blinked again, and for a second, the lunchroom fell away. Just two girls. One watching, one slowly understanding. Then the bell rang. They stood up in silence. As Ariana walked to her next class, the assistant principal's voice crackled over the intercom. "Ariana Mitchell to the main office. Ariana Mitchell to the main office. Please." Heads turned. Whispers rose again. Ariana turned without hesitation and headed toward the administrative wing. When she walked into the office, Karen was already waiting behind her glass-walled desk, arms crossed, expression unreadable. "Sit," she said. Ariana sat. Karen folded her hands on the desk. "I had time to review your file more carefully," she said. "It seems you're here on a scholarship. Very competitive. Very rare." Ariana said nothing. "You come highly recommended," Karen continued. but I find that paper rarely matches performance. Ariana's gaze remained steady. You're watching me very closely, she said. Karen's lips curled. It's my job to protect this institution. We maintain a standard. I make no apologies for that. Even if the standard is built on exclusion, Ariana asked, the first flicker challenge in her voice. Karen's eyes darkened. Be careful, she said slowly. I understand students today are sensitive, but this school doesn't bend to feelings. We deal in facts, discipline, structure. You deal in power, Ariana said quietly, and how you choose to use it. Karen leaned forward. You're treading a dangerous line, Miss Mitchell. Watch your tone, or your time here will be very short. Ariana met her eyes without flinching. Maybe it will be short, but it'll be enough. Karen stiffened. You may go, she said, her voice clipped. Ariana stood and walked out without another word. As the door closed behind her, Karen sat back, unease flickering across her face for the first time. She pressed a button on her desk phone. Contact the admissions office, she said. I want everything we have on that girl. And send me the scholarship documentation again. Now! Outside the office, Ariana walked slowly, purposefully. Her phone buzzed again. A new message. Agents in position. Classroom cameras calibrated. Proceed with embedded evaluations. You have 72 hours. Ariana slipped the phone into her pocket and adjusted her bag. Her steps were light, but every inch of her was alert. Lincoln High had just become a stage, and the next act was coming. Thursday morning arrived colder than usual. Atlanta's autumn had crept in overnight, and the sharp air made the school's pristine facade seem even more sterile than before. Students huddled in light jackets, chatter low and distracted. Inside, however, the temperature was shifting in another way entirely. The hum in the hallways had changed. Not frantic, not chaotic, just electric, a quiet current, as though something invisible had clicked into place. At 7:35 a.m., Ariana entered the building, just as she had every day that week. The same backpack, the same calm expression. But now her eyes held something colder, focused, resolved. She walked down the hallway where it had all begun, passing the exact tile where Karen Whitmore had stopped her 4 days ago. The same students still watched, but now they were waiting. Something was coming. At 7:42, Karen stepped out of her office, clipboard in hand, heels clicking in perfect rhythm. She turned and froze. Ariana stood directly in her path. Again, their eyes met. For a second, the world quieted. Karen narrowed her gaze. Still having to place that backpack? Ariana smiled faintly. Still watching it that closely? Karen's jaw tightened. Do you have an appointment? No, Ariana said. But they do. Karen frowned, about to ask who. But then it happened. The front doors of Lincoln High opened simultaneously, and 4 black SUVs pulled into the front lot. Within seconds, 8 men and women in dark coats entered the building, flashing federal credentials to the stunned security staff. Their pace was measured, professional, and deliberate. Behind them walked a tall black woman in a slate-gray suit, hair pinned back, expression unreadable. Evelyn Johnson. Karen's face lost color the moment she recognized her. Dr. Johnson, she began, stepping forward, arms half lifted in a clumsy display of politeness. Evelyn didn't acknowledge her. She stopped in the hallway, directly beside her daughter, and turned to face the students now gathering along the corridor. Students and staff, she said, voice firm but composed. My name is Dr. Evelyn Johnson. I am the director of the Office for Civil Rights at the U.S. Department of Education. Effective immediately, Lincoln High is under federal investigation for repeated violations of Title VI, including systemic racial discrimination, abuse of authority, and targeted student harassment. Silence. Karen's mouth opened. Nothing came out. Evelyn continued. Over the past several months, our department received credible reports that students of color, particularly black students, were being subject to discriminatory treatment under the current administration. Due to a pattern of uninvestigated complaints and a suspicious lack of documentation, we authorized an embedded assessment protocol. She turned her gaze slightly. That assessment was led by one of our most trusted observers, a field specialist trained in institutional diagnostics. That observer is Ariana Mitchell-Johnson. A collective intake of breath swept the hallway. Several students turned to stare at Ariana, eyes wide. One of the teachers dropped his coffee. Karen blinked. She's your daughter? Evelyn finally looked at her. Yes, and her presence here was authorized at the highest level. Every interaction, every class, every conversation, every insult. Ariana stepped forward, voice low but clear. You want to know how someone like me got in here? She said. The truth is, I asked to come. This school wasn't chosen randomly. I remembered your face, Principal Whitmore. You don't remember mine. But years ago, I was a child at a science fair here. You told me my project looked messy, that I should have combed my hair better if I wanted to look smart. You told me at 11 years old that I didn't fit the environment. I never forgot that. And when reports started coming in about Lincoln High, I knew it hadn't been an isolated comment. Karen shook her head, face pale. This is absurd. She was a child. I don't recall. Of course you don't, Ariana interrupted. But I do. And so do the dozens of other students who came forward. The ones who were silenced. The ones you dressed down in offices and hallways, off record. The ones you suspended for nothing. The ones you tried to push out because they didn't look right. I'm not just here for myself. I'm here for all of them. Evelyn stepped forward. Effective immediately, Principal Karen Whitmore, you are suspended from all administrative duties pending the outcome of this investigation. Your office and files are now under federal audit. You are not permitted to delete, alter, or remove any records. Failure to comply will result in legal escalation. Karen stared at her, horror dawning in her eyes. You can't be serious. This is a setup. She tricked me. This is entrapment. Evelyn didn't blink. It's accountability. The agent stepped forward. Please surrender your badge and access cards, one of them said. Karen's hand trembled as she reached for her lanyard. This school is my life, she whispered. I built this place. No, Ariana said softly. You build a stage. I'm just turning on the lights. Karen looked at her, and for the first time, there was something behind the arrogance, fear, real fear. Ariana turned her head. Students were now filming openly. No one stopped them. No one looked away. The silence that once protected Karen had shattered. It was done. As the agents escorted Karen down the hall, a few students clapped. Not mockingly, gently, like a small release of breath held too long. Jordan stood near the lockers, watching Ariana, eyes full of quiet awe. Later, in the media room, Evelyn and Ariana stood side by side as faculty were gathered for a formal briefing. The school board had been notified. The press would follow soon. Ariana didn't speak much after that. She didn't need to. Her presence said enough. But before they left the building, she stood for a moment in the main hallway, looking up at the school's wall of accolades and trophies. Her voice was calm when she spoke. It's strange, she said. They call this place excellence. But excellence isn't how loud you shout your achievements. It's how you treat the quietest person in the room. Evelyn put a hand on her shoulder. You did what you came to do. Ariana nodded, but her eyes remained on the hallway. I didn't come for revenge, she said. I came for truth. I just hope it's enough to start something real. Then she turned and walked away from the hallway that had tried to break her, and failed. The news spread faster than wildfire. By the end of the school day, Lincoln High was trending online. The video clips of Principal Whitmore's public suspension had already been stitched, subtitled, and dissected across every platform. Students replayed the moment Ariana's calm voice echoed through the hallway, calling out words like accountability and truth with the precision of someone who'd been preparing her whole life. But while the internet erupted in support, the inside of the school became a different kind of battlefield. Friday morning, the building felt heavier, quieter. No one stood at the entrance anymore. The glossy smile of Karen Whitmore was gone from the front office, replaced by a temporary vice principal who avoided eye contact and spoke with the stiffness of a man aware he was walking on broken glass. Ariana walked through the same hallway again, This time not as an anonymous student, but as a name everyone now knew. They didn't whisper anymore. They stared. Some smiled. Some nodded with silent respect. But others narrowed their eyes, whispered behind her back, peeled away from groups as she passed. Jordan caught up with her outside her locker. "How are you holding up?" she asked. Ariana exhaled slowly. "Tired." "You did something huge," Jordan said. "But people are talking. Some are saying you tricked everyone, that you lied about who you were." "I never lied," Ariana said, voice flat. "I just didn't explain myself. Not until it mattered." Jordan looked down. "You know what I mean. People don't like feeling exposed. They'd rather be complicit than uncomfortable." Ariana didn't respond. She knew Jordan was right. The shift in the air wasn't just about Karen Whitmore being gone. It was about what that meant for the rest of them, for the systems and people who had enabled her. Some teachers started acting awkward around Ariana. One who had ignored Karen's behavior now offered exaggerated smiles and compliments. Another, who had always been neutral, refused to look her in the eye. Ariana saw through all of it, every performance, every apology delivered too late. During lunch, she sat alone again, not by choice, but because the tables around her remained half empty. Even Jordan hadn't come over. She couldn't blame her. Change made people uncomfortable. Accountability terrified them. She took out her phone and opened a secure app. No more reports to file. No more observations. The mission was officially marked complete. But Ariana didn't feel finished. She felt displaced, like a visitor in a place she'd dismantled. The school was rearranging itself around her now, and she didn't know whether she fit anywhere in the new order. That afternoon, Dr. Evelyn Johnson returned for a closed-door staff meeting. Ariana waited in the parking lot, watching the windows above. The clouds hung low. The school, for all its size and glory, felt small now, like a shell. When the meeting ended, Evelyn came outside and slid into the passenger seat of her daughter's car. Neither of them spoke for a moment. Then Evelyn turned, her face soft. "It's almost over," she said. Ariana kept her eyes on the steering wheel. "I thought I'd feel better by now." "You did something people spend their whole lives trying to do," Evelyn said. "You exposed a rot. You gave others a voice." "But I broke things," Ariana whispered. "You revealed what was already broken," her mother replied. "You didn't create the crack. You just showed the world where it was hiding." Ariana nodded slowly. "They're scared of me now." "Good," Evelyn said. "They should be. Not because you're dangerous, but because you're a mirror. And people don't like what they see in mirrors." Ariana turned to look at the building again. "I'm not staying here, am I?" "That's up to you," Evelyn said carefully. "But sometimes the hardest part of change is knowing when your job is done." Ariana leaned her head back against the seat, the tension in her shoulders refusing to leave. "There's a part of me that wanted her to apologize," she admitted, "not just be removed. I wanted her to look me in the eye and say she remembered." Evelyn reached over and squeezed her hand. "Some people spend their lives pretending they've never done harm. That's not your responsibility to fix. You did your part, with integrity, with strength." Ariana blinked back the heat behind her eyes. "I didn't want to be a symbol," she whispered. "I just wanted to prove I belonged." Evelyn's voice softened. "You did more than that. You changed the rules." Over the weekend, national news picked up the story. Civil rights groups praised the operation. Educators debated the ethics of embedded evaluations. A few loud voices online called Ariana Plant an actress, a tool of woke politics. But others called her brave, strategic, powerful, and still Ariana stayed silent. She didn't post, didn't defend herself. She just waited. On Monday, when she returned to school for what might be her final week, something different happened. One by one, a small group of students, Black, Latinx, Asian, even a few white, approached her, not loudly, not with fanfare, just quiet thanks, soft acknowledgments. "I saw what you did. Thank you. I was scared to speak. You helped me see I'm not crazy. My little sister's coming here next year. It'll be different now because of you. And then, in the hallway, Rachel Whitmore, alone, her blonde hair tied back, eyes uncertain. She stepped into Ariana's path. I didn't know, she said, about what my mom was really doing. I mean, I saw some things, but she's my mom. Ariana waited. Rachel swallowed. I don't expect forgiveness. I want you to know I'm not proud of how I acted. I didn't say anything. I looked away. I think I was scared of her too. Ariana's voice was quiet. You had power. You could have spoken up. Rachel nodded. I know. A pause. I want to do better. If I can help, then help someone, Ariana said. Not for me. For the next girl who walks in here with a different kind of hair, different kind of voice. Make sure she doesn't have to fight like I did. Rachel's eyes filled for a moment. Then she nodded and stepped aside. The hallway opened again. On Wednesday, Ariana met with the acting principal and submitted her transfer request. You're welcome to stay, the man said. Truly, the board's offering full support now. Whatever you need. Ariana shook her head. My job here is done. And when she stepped outside that afternoon, the sun had broken through the clouds for the first time all week. Evelyn waited by the car. Ariana paused at the doors. Looked back, not in regret, but in clarity. The system had tried to silence her, but instead, she had made it listen. The car ride away from Lincoln High was silent at first. Not heavy, just still. Evelyn kept her eyes on the road, hands steady on the wheel, while Ariana stared out the window, watching the school fade behind layers of trees and polished sidewalks. It looked smaller from a distance, less like a monument, more like a memory. They didn't speak until the skyline of downtown Atlanta came into view. Ariana turned toward her mother. Do you think it'll actually change? Evelyn didn't answer right away. She turned onto a quieter road, then finally said, Some things already have. The rest depends on what people do with the truth now that they've seen it. Ariana nodded. She understood. The truth wasn't a guarantee of change. It was only an invitation. That evening, Ariana sat at her desk, laptop open, emails from reporters and student advocates and university admissions blinking like stars on a crowded screen. She didn't open any of them. Instead, she opened a blank document and began to write. Not a report, not a summary, just thoughts, feelings, names of students she remembered, small moments, glances in the hallway, questions never asked. She wrote about the way silence can become survival and how sometimes power isn't loud. It's the quiet choice to stay when it's easier to run. She wrote about the rage that comes when you're forced to carry the weight of proof, about how systems are built to ignore what doesn't scream, about how dignity, when stripped publicly, can still be rebuilt privately, word by word, person by person. She didn't know where the writing would go, but it felt like the beginning of something. The next day, Evelyn received a call from the department. Ariana had been formally invited to speak at an Education Equity Summit in Washington, D.C., not as an agent, not as a student, but as herself. She said yes. The auditorium was full. Teachers, policymakers, students, journalists, all waiting. Ariana stepped onto the stage in a dark blazer and jeans, her natural curls loose and proud, her voice clear. I was told once, she began, that I didn't belong in a place like this, that I looked wrong, that I spoke wrong, that I didn't reflect the standard. A pause. The crowd waited. But the truth is, I reflect something else, something that doesn't always get trophies or plaques. I reflect the truth of students who walk into schools every day knowing the rules were never written with them in mind. And still, they walk in, they sit, they learn, they rise. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd. Ariana continued, I didn't ask to be anyone's hero. I'm not, but I am someone who got tired of pretending. And if my presence made someone uncomfortable, maybe that discomfort was overdue. Applause, at first quiet, began to grow. Ariana stood steady. Students deserve more than to survive school. They deserve to be seen, heard, protected. And if change feels hard, it's because it is. But that doesn't mean it's impossible. I saw what happens when silence is replaced with courage. The standing ovation came before she finished the last sentence. When she stepped off the stage, she wasn't thinking about Lincoln High anymore. She was thinking about what came next, about the students who might never know her name, but who'd walk into their schools tomorrow and feel just a little more visible, a little more protected, a little more powerful. She smiled, because sometimes justice isn't loud. Sometimes it's slow, but when it arrives, it stays. Thank you for listening all the way to the end. It means more than you know.